So anytime you talk about the library of GameCube games potentially having remasters or ports headed to the Nintendo Switch, there is always a ton of interest around this topic online due to the fact that the GameCube had such a legendary library of games. And while one of the games that we will be talking about in this latest round of rumors that could be headed to the Switch is absolutely a GameCube fan-loved classic, the other rumored game or games we will be talking about could be from the GameCube, or they could be entirely something different, as it has not been confirmed. And we need to quickly get on the same page with exactly what is being claimed here, because if you keep up with video game rumor, speculation, leaks, and all of that online, you're probably somewhat familiar with the name Jeff Grubb. We have talked about Mr. Jeff Grubb on the channel here at length due to the fact that while timing on everything hasn't always been right, and there's probably been one or two things that have just been outright wrong up to this point in time, there's also been a lot of games and projects that Mr. Grubb has talked about before they have officially been announced from Nintendo, and there's no denying that his role within the gaming industry as a journalist for all these years would put him into contact with people that are in the know, that are under NDA, that cannot talk about this stuff themselves. But if you're friends and buddies with somebody that you've known for years, you may kind of tell them what's going on behind the scenes a little bit. And one of his big projects that many people doubted until we finally saw it unveiled at the February Nintendo Direct was, of course, Metroid Prime Remastered. We had been hearing that this game was in the holster and essentially finished from the names like Grubb and Nate the Hate and even Emily Rogers hinting at it for years before we finally got the official reveal. And while Grubb even put his hair and beard on the line for a 2022 release, and when that did not happen, he kept to his word, we did ultimately see Nintendo pull back the curtain on that project in February of 2023 this year. Now, there's numerous other things we could go into as far as his track record, GoldenEye being a big one that he was vocal about coming back when many people did not think that that could happen, especially due to the red tape with Microsoft, Nintendo, and MGM and the likenesses, rights, and things to bring back that game in the modern era. Not to mention the timing being accurate from Mr. Grubb on multiple direct presentations. There is a lot to go off of. We won't make this video about that, but to first get on the same page with what he is claiming right now in terms of what is in the holster from Nintendo, let's quickly hop over to My Nintendo News and read through their detailed typed up article together. Jeff Grubb, Metroid Prime 2 Remastered coming relatively soonish, and something Zelda series related this year. Journalist and industry insider Jeff Grubb has said in a new video that Metroid Prime 2 Remastered will be arriving relatively soonish, which is fantastic news to hear, as Metroid Prime Remastered was excellent. He also said that something The Legend of Zelda related is also happening later this year, though he says it is not related to the critically acclaimed The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. What this announcement will be is anyone's guess, but it seems it won't be downloadable content for The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Here's what was said by Jeff Grubb. Metroid Prime 2 Remaster is probably coming out relatively soonish. That is happening. It's going to be mostly what people want, right? It's going to have modern controls and it's going to be HD and things like that, but it's not going to get the love and care that Metroid Prime got, no. This next phrase, I'm afraid to say it, so I might not actually say it. Listen, I don't know what it means. I'm going to tell you what they told me, and if you take this and spin it into something else, everybody, it's on you. Okay, it's on you. Something not related to Tears of the Kingdom is happening with Zelda later this year. So there's a lot to unpack there, and the first part we have to reference is the more sure bet, which is the fact that Metroid Prime 2 Echoes absolutely sounds like it is in the holster and ready to go, and relatively soonish, you would just logically expect it to be revealed at something like a September Nintendo Direct. Jeff Grubb even references the fact that Nintendo has this Nintendo Live presentation happening early in the month of September, and of course, logically, we would always expect Nintendo to hold a Direct in the month of September, and if I'm a betting man, I'm going to say this shadow drops the same way that Metroid Prime Remastered did, and it's available day one on the eShop, same day as the Direct, and we get a physical edition released later on. The nice thing is he is calling this Metroid Prime 2 Echoes Remastered, which would essentially infer that it is getting a remaster treatment, but it's maybe not the full-on graphical texture overhaul that we saw happen with Metroid Prime 1 Remastered, and it might still look more similar to the GameCube version, but things like modern controls and HD visuals will be fully intact, and it may even have remastered in the title, which is a great great sign. Now you can speculate on whether or not we'll see Metroid Prime 3 Corruption also revealed at the same time, but I also think that Nintendo could just be giving us that slow drip feed build to Metroid Prime 4, and they do it at each Nintendo Direct. It would be kind of smart. In February, you reveal Prime 1 Remastered, shadow drop it, you skip it at the next Nintendo Direct in June, we don't talk about Metroid at all, then Metroid's back in September, and now you have Prime 2 Echoes to play. We go to February next year, and maybe we don't get anything Metroid. Then in June, we get Prime 3 Corruption, and in late 2024, or even could be early 2025, we're finally able to play Metroid Prime 4 in all of its glory. But I've always been saying that I believe that they will space the Metroid Prime games out 6 to 9 months apart from when we are building to the release of Metroid Prime 4, and I think that that's ultimately what Nintendo will stick to with this release cadence. So you kind of give fans a minute to enjoy the game, they go through it, and then just whenever they're kind of forgetting about it and moving on to other things, you can reintroduce the second iteration in the franchise, because these games are so old now and they didn't sell quite that well that so many people will be playing these for the first time. And I'm very excited to hear that there is a strong possibility that we are looking forward to Prime 2 Echoes and Prime 3 Corruption ultimately, and that they won't just be forgotten about because they weren't as successful of games as Metroid Prime 1 was. So that part is great news in my book. Now then, the big topic we have to unpack from all of this is something Zelda happening in 2023 that specifically is not Tears of the Kingdom related. Now, I would love to just say that I'm 100% confident this is finally Wind Waker and Twilight Princess being revealed, and we will know about them or even potentially be playing them in 2023. And I do think you can argue there's still a holiday window that it would make sense for a Zelda game to be on the market that isn't Tears of the Kingdom, a brand new game that Nintendo can market and launch around that Christmas time shopping craze to capitalize on all the extra foot traffic. But I'm not going to get my hopes up for that. While I hope that this could be that, and it even seemed like Jeff Grubb wanted to hint at it being Wind Waker and Twilight Princess, he was very careful to say he doesn't know what it is in terms of what Zelda project, but it is something Zelda in 2023, and he doesn't specifically say it will launch 2023, but that something Zelda is happening in 2023. So you can interpret that however you want to. If you want to set your expectations extremely low just to be safe, maybe it's going to be some kind of Hyrule Warriors iteration where it's another spin-off or collaborative title. I would say that a 2D remake would make a ton of sense, something similar in the style of Link's Awakening, but maybe we see that same treatment given to Oracle of Ages and Seasons, or even Minish Cap, but Minish Cap is already playable on Game Boy Advance via Nintendo Switch Online, and Oracle of Ages and Seasons are in the holster for Nintendo Switch Online in the Game Boy family of systems, so that really doesn't seem like the titles that would make the most sense, since we know that those are either just been released or are coming on NSO. Maybe we have a section at the next Direct where it is a 3DS port, like we saw them mention for Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, where they're like, hey, A Link Between Worlds is coming to the Switch and will now be playable. That would be freaking fantastic, but we really don't know what to expect. Will they give that treatment from the ground up, do a full-on remake of A Link to the Past? That's kind of almost what A Link Between Worlds was, but it did have its own original story and gameplay mechanics. So maybe we see them go that direction, or it could finally be time for these long rumored Wind Waker and Twilight Princess, because not only was Jeff Grubb saying that, Andy Robinson, another very credible name in the gaming journalist space, also saying that he's heard that these games are done on a shelf, ready to go, and he predicted them out in 2021. So we'll have to wait and see what ultimately happens with all of this, but the good news is we're already flying through the month of July. We'll be in August before you know it, and then that means that following month in September, we can expect some kind of Direct with potentially some big announcements, for sure with Metroid, and then potentially Zelda getting something this year in 2023. That is a fantastic prospect to me. I just hope it's finally Wind Waker and Twilight Princess time, but again, I'm not setting my expectations there personally, just to be on the safe side. But I really want to hear from you guys at this point in the video, your personal thoughts and expectations around these rumor mill speculation talks flaring up once again for games like Metroid Prime 2 Echoes Remastered, and for the potential of Twilight Princess and Wind Waker, or anything Zelda. And I really want to hear from you on which games you're most hyped for. If you do think that indeed something Zelda is coming this year, like Grubb has suggested, and Prime 2 echoes, are you a little bit more excited about the potential for surprise releases now that this news has broke, or do you feel like it's better off to not pay attention to Jeff Grubb and his particular insights on things, and maybe you're personally not expecting any of this stuff to happen this year? And bonus question, what GameCube/Nintendo Wii era games would you most want to see brought over to the Nintendo Switch that are not there today? So regardless of your thoughts and feelings on everything we talked about today, I do look forward to hearing from you all in the comments down below before you leave the video, as I do look forward to getting a back and forth conversation started with you all around these topics. Go watch yesterday's video next if you haven't already, which is on screen right now. Also make sure you like, subscribe, turn on your notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next video.